generation fighter. I know there's seedy stuff in the past, and for me that holds him back from being an all-time great because things were never cleared up properly about that. But that being put to one side, he's the only fighter that isn't scared to take on anybody, I don't think. Yeah. I know he's picking off the easier champions, and there's no way he stays in there at that weight. There's no way he goes in against Breedis. There's no way he goes in against Akole.
Makabu's no mug, though, is there?
Sorry?
He's no mug, Makabu. If he catches him.
No, he's no mug bait, but he's past his best. How many years ago was it that he fought Bellew?
Yeah.
And at the time, he was a feared fighter at the weight because he can punch. I just don't know what he's got left. And maybe that's what Canelo sees as well. So maybe that's why he's gone to this weight. Because what makes me wonder is why jumper weight? Why not go to light heavy? Because he sees the champions at light heavy and he thinks, I don't want anything to do with any of them.
No.
But even so, even if Makabu is over the hill a little bit, even if he's past his best a little bit, we're talking 2 stone, 2.5 stone.
It's a lot of weight to eat on you.
It's a real big ask, this, for Canelo. I mean, no one knows what Canelo's going to look like or how he's going to move at that weight. Is he going to be able to do 12 rounds at that weight? It's a lot to put on for one fight.
Yeah, and you could argue it's a leveler. I know you're saying Makabu might be spent, blah, or past his best, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, that guy's coming up how many divisions from where he belongs, really? You know?
Well, he belongs at what? He belongs at probably, I'd say his ideal was maybe light mid.
Yeah.
Super welterweight was probably his ideal weight. So he's coming up from serious divisions, hasn't he? You know, he's cleared out a super middleweight division that, and you can't blame him. He's took on the best in that division, but there's no reason for him to be hanging around anymore. It's a big ask. This if he beats Makabu, even if Makabu is a little bit past his best, people have got to be ranking him right up there.
Well, he could well hang his gloves up because he ain't going to defend that title. And I'm wondering what's left for him to do. Triple G fight, possibly. So I wonder where he goes after this.
Problem is, though, mate, you know, once you've put that amount of weight on, taking it back off is a completely different ball game. He'd need to take. Well, he's got to go down to middleweight. Ante, if he's.
Yeah, I just think it's pure legacy now, isn't it? You know, it's not about the money.
Mate, you can't. It's his legacy. You can't blame him for chasing belts because what's the point in him staying around otherwise?
Yeah.
And defending at super middleweight is going to do nothing for him.
No.
He beats everybody at that weight convincingly, easily.
He's a smart cooker. He's a smart cooker. He'll get out.
Of course, and he's doing exactly what Floyd Mayweather Jr. did. He's
his opponents
at the right time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a calculated risk, this, though, because if Makabu lands, it could be good night because it will never have felt a shot like that from anybody, I don't think.
No.
And let's have it right. It's not Canelo's style to be an elusive fighter.
He has got a campmate who can help him, hasn't he? Andy Ruiz Jr.
Yeah, and he's probably sparred him. I don't know, mate. It beggars belief a little bit. It looks like it's going to happen, but yeah, it beggars belief a little bit. I find it a bit crazy.
Well, it feels a bit like a circus, don't it? In some degree.
No, I think that's harsh. I won't call it that. Because you're talking about the best fighter in the last 20 years, probably.
Yeah. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled on that one because I don't think it's going to go away. So
Absolutely.
next one, looking forward, Callum Johnson versus Joe Smith Jr., which is a great fight. Due to be officially announced, but we understand it's going to be the 15th of January. So January is starting to hot up a little bit. So Joe Smith Jr. is good, but he does know what it's like to be beat.
Yeah.
Got beat by Bibble. So although it is a very good fight, don't get me wrong, it's not like he hasn't tasted defeat. So a motivated Johnson, this will be a very, very good fight. We know Johnson's going to have to travel because obviously Warren will be in the States, so he's got that against him.
That
But
don't bother him, though, mate.
well, it's almost we're getting towards make or break time for Callum Johnson if he's wanting to win a world title.
Yeah.
You know, and this could be he might not get another shot. So this could be his breakout fight in terms of world level for me. What do you think?
There's two ways to look at this for me. Yeah, Joe Smith Jr. is beatable. And he's not the most active fighter.
No.
He fought once. He fought once this year. He fought twice in 2020, once in 2019. So he's not the most active fighter. Callum Johnson is very capable of doing a number on Joe Smith Jr. I mean, you saw what he did. You saw what he did early on to Beterbiev.
He didn't see it through though, did he?
No, he didn't. He didn't. But he could have. He could have very easily stopped him early on in that fight. I know in the end he got stopped himself, but it just goes to show what power he's got. My only concern is he's come off this long layoff, and he's had a couple of fights against nowhere near this level opposition.
Yeah.
That for me is the only niggling in my mind is he ready yet for this fight? I know if it's offered to you, you've got to take it, haven't you? It is, at this stage of his career, he's got to take the fight.
Yeah, and remember, he's been the bridesmaid for a long, long time, hasn't he, in terms of this division. You know, missing out on fights, missing out on the big names.
Yeah.
Having to fight British and European level. Then all of a sudden you get to crack at Joe Smith Jr., you're going to grab it, aren't you?
I think he's been quite avoided as well, to be fair. It must be frustrating for him, not really getting the chances when he could have had. Probably not getting the push that he deserves. We're seeing that a lot at the minute. Certain fighters that we think are great, not getting what they should have had over the years. Callum Johnson's another one of these. He just hasn't had the push that he I think he deserves, because I think he's quality.
He's almost fell between the cracks, hasn't he, in a promotional term.
Yeah, he's kind of gone missing and been like a forgotten man. Well, this is his chance to put everything right. And he has got a chance. Let's make bones about it. A lot of people rate Joe Smith Jr. as the best at the division, which is a big statement.
Massive statement.
It is a big statement because he's been beat 3 times and lost already to one of the other champions in Bivolante. Do you know what? I don't even know how to call this, mate, because it all depends on what Callum Johnson turns up.
Yeah.
If Callum Johnson switched on, he's very capable of winning this fight.
Well, you know that he will be, won't you? Because for me, I think this is his last chance to get a world strap.
Yeah, probably.
So it's all he should. Obviously, he will do, but he should put everything into this. You know, this is his moment.
It's an absolute barnstormer, isn't it? It's a real top fight, this.
But I hear what he's saying about his previous opponents, and the concern is it's a big jump in quality.
It is considering. I mean, he's only had 2 fights back since his layoff, and the quality is nowhere near this standard. So it is a big jump up. Can he make that jump? Absolutely, of course he can, because he's a quality fighter. Yeah, I know we don't like sitting on the fence, mate. I know we like to give a prediction. This is real tough for me. I think this goes one of two ways. Callum Johnson wins a shock mid-round knockout, or Joe Smith Jr. wins on points, because I don't think Callum Johnson's gonna do well down the stretch.
Yeah, I think Johnson's past his best. I think this fight's come a little bit too late for him. It's a shame because his career's kind of tailed off a little bit, hasn't it? You know, he's never really caught light for the talent that he's got. So I think Joe Smith Jr. is going to beat him. I think he's going to stop him. Maybe 11th, not late on. Yeah, I think Johnson will empty the tank and get stopped. So moving on to our last topic, Dillon White, WBC situation. I think they played straight into WBC hands here, but I'll let you give your view first, Ander. A couple of minutes.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about a minute ago when I was talking about Canelo. So the WBC can't have it one way with one fighter and then have it another way with another fighter. So just because Canelo's the golden boy and the WBC love him and the WBC love his coach and he sells loads of tickets and make loads of pay-per-views, sells arenas out, looks $1 million. So what they do is they say, it doesn't matter that you've not fought the weight, you can do what you want. You can have that world title fight. And then Dillon White, who's been sat in that number one spot, apart from the one defeat which he avenged, he's been sat in the number one spot for the best part of 3 years, and he's still not been made mandatory. Now, there was something on another show earlier on today, and they were talking to Frank Warren, who's obviously Tyson Fury's UK promoter. What Frank Warren understands from the WBC is that there's now an arbitration for this fight. And this is all to do with the fact that White's got his lawyers involved to try and push for this mandatory fight. So this arbitration this is basically played like you've just said. It's played into WBC's hands, and they've turned around and gone, right, okay, send it to arbitration then. Let them make the decision. But the likelihood is that if the fight does get made and the arbitration calls in White's favour, it's going to be an 80-20 split. Now,
yeah. Normally is, to be fair, for a mandatory though, isn't it?
Say?
Normally is around that percentage when you're for a mandatory.
Yeah, as a general rule. But we all know that Dillon White's not going to have that. He's not going to settle for 20%, mate. Even though it's 20% of a massive purse. I mean, he turned the Joshua fight down not long back. Was it before the Ortiz? Not Ortiz. Andy Ruiz, sorry. Before the Andy Ruiz fight, when they were looking for an opponent, it was offered to Dillon White. And apparently he was offered stupid money as well, like $4 million. And still said no, because he knew that Joshua would be getting stupid $40 million or whatever. So because he was getting what he saw as a real poor percentage, he turned the fight down.
I'm quite torn on that, though. I'm torn on that because you can't tell me he's not earned a shed load of money, and we hammer other fighters for putting money before belts, don't we?
But that's my point. That's my exact point. If he believes he's good enough to win a world title,
Correct.
why
Check
not
it.
Joshua fight when you had the chance?
Yeah,
You
can't
had,
have it always up.
he's always saying that he was unfit for that first Joshua fight. He came in with an injury, he says, and he's always wanted the rematch. He's forever calling out Joshua. I like Dillon White. I've got a lot of respect for him because he fights everybody, but he had that chance to fight Joshua. It was short notice, and he might not have been ready. That's the only thing I'll say in his favour. But if you want the title that bad, you take it. And the same goes for this. I have a feeling this arbitration is going to get called. It will get called and it will be an 80%, 20% split, and he will turn it down. And if he does, he'll never get a title shot.
Yeah, because 20% of that purse is going to be, I'd argue, one of his biggest paydays anyway.
It's payday by a country mile, mate.
Yeah.
It'll be his biggest payday by a country mile. And if he believes, and he's waited all this time for that shot. If he believes deep down in his heart that he can beat Tyson Fury, then it shouldn't matter what his payday is. Because you should be thinking past that and thinking, well, if I'm champion, then I get the massive bucks. Then I can call all the shots.
Yeah.
But it's harsh for me. But I do, back to the WBC, mate. Dreadful organisation at the moment. These are supposed to be the golden boys as organisations go. These are meant to be the green.
Like I say,
everybody wants, isn't it?
I can't help but think, though, that White gave him an open goal. I don't know who's took the legal advice. We don't really understand what... We wasn't there, wasn't round the table. But surely whoever was giving him the legal advice should have read the WBC rules.
Yep.
Surely, knowing what position he was in. I'm all for forcing people's arms, and we've called for it on the show many a time, haven't we? Why is he not pushing the legal avenue? But you've got to weigh all the options up, haven't you? If that's going to stop you from potentially being called, why don't you wait till after the convention?
Yeah.
And make sure he's going to get called.
Yeah, you would have thought that his advisors or his legal team or whoever's made that decision would have known that the WBC convention was coming up.
Well, Eddie Hearn said it's been in the making for 11 months. So I would suggest that after the last WBC convention was when he took advice doing the maths.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why it might have happened then. But I hope he gets his shot. And I hope they don't put Tyson Fury as a franchise champion and start making White fight other rankings as well, because that's a nonsense.
Well, they've not got long to make a decision, mate, because apparently Fury's already said he will fight in March at the latest.
Yeah, another holder was given 30 days to negotiate with Usyk once about an undisputed fight.
Right.
Fury was, and I believe that's up now. So it's all very murky waters, and because we don't know what's happening behind closed doors, we're just surmising from what's in the public domain. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, won't it?
But it's the heavyweight division again, mate.
Yeah,
it stinks at the minute, and it shouldn't be like this. Tyson Fury should be hailed as the best fighter of his generation. And in the majority of people's eyes, he is. But he still needs to fight the few people he's not fought. Dillon White is one of them because he's been up there deserving a shot. Now, I know your feelings on Dillon White. You don't think he's good enough to win a world title.
I've never said he don't deserve his shot, though, have I?
No, you haven't. You haven't. But a lot of people think that he can't win a world title. Even if people do think that, he deserves a shot. Out of anybody else, other people getting world title shots before him is absolutely shocking. I mean, if I was him, I would have perhaps gone away from the WBC and gone to looked at going through the rankings on another organisation and probably would have got a shot a long time ago.
IBF. Look at the state of the IBF. So, Andy, that's an hour, fella. So I'll let you take us out, and then same time next week for next week's show.
Yeah, we've got a lot. We've got a lot to review, haven't we? There's some great stuff coming up on that 11th card when we're going down to Brighton. There's three fights from three different broadcasters. Three cards, from three different broadcasters on the same night. We'll talk about that in more in depth probably next week.
Yeah,
because it's a pick'em, of which cards you want to watch. So look out for that on next week's. We're gonna have a lot of material coming up in the next couple of weeks, because, like we say, we're going up to the gym in Worksop to do a load of stuff as a pre for the card that we're going down to on the 11th. But once again, thanks for the comments in the sidebar, and I'll see you next week, mate.
Cheers.